Hello, Faith family. It is December the 19th. We're only 6 days away. The question for today in our reading from David Jeremiah's book, Why the Nativity, is why did the wise men bring gifts? The child may have been almost 2 years old. His family continued to make their home in Bethlehem. The town was quiet again, and that allowed Joseph and Mary to upgrade their living conditions to a small house. Soon, the little family would be on the move once more when an angel warned them of approaching danger. Just before that unexpected visit, however, came another one. A knock at the door revealed delegates from a faraway country. Joseph, always protective, may have been wary of these oddly dressed visitors, but their faces were kind and eager. Their eyes were bright and reverent. They claimed they had traveled for many weeks at great expense and greater risk to see the newborn king. The shepherds, of course, had come on the night when Jesus was born. But just as Mary and Joseph might have wondered how long their special child would remain a secret to the world, there appeared these men to affirm that Jesus was the Christ, the Messiah. The fact that they were non-Jews and even foreigners suggested that the child was more than a Jewish Messiah. As Gabriel said, he is the Son of God, therefore he belongs to the world as the world belongs to him. What an ornate caravan these wise men must have brought, for they wouldn't have traveled such a great distance alone. The wise men must have inspired a great deal of talk in Bethlehem, just as they had done in Jerusalem. Indeed, the couple had to depart quietly for Egypt soon afterwards, and when they did, the gift of these wise men may have financed the trip. And what about those gifts? We don't have the names of the Magi nor the number of their delegation, but we're told what they brought. Mary and Joseph were unlikely to forget the extravagant substances that were laid at the child's feet. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The object of their entire rigorous quest was one of worship, and worship of a God probably not their own. This child was for everyone, and the gifts would reflect both the givers and the recipient. We imagine the first visitor stepping forth and opening his small chest to reveal a breathtaking sight. Gold. This gift needed little explanation. Throughout the world, gold was coveted as the most precious of metals, the standard by which all other wealth was measured. That's why gold is a royal gift symbolizing kingship. Only as partakers of divine revelation would these visitors from a pagan world be able to fall at the feet of an ordinary peasant child in a small village and acknowledge him as their king. Their background and their long travel proved their commitment. A gift of gold demonstrated hearts of sacrifice. John Henry Hopkins Jr. gave us the classic hymn, We Three Kings, which includes each of the gifts in turn. Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again. King forever, ceasing never, over us all to reign. The little casket of gold was closed again and set to one side of the child, and perhaps rested in his mother's lap, his eyes wide at the spectacle. Now another visitor stepped forward, this time to open a vial. A delicious fragrance permeated the small room, the aroma of frankincense, the second of the gifts. This was holy oil, well familiar to anyone who lived near Jerusalem. To sniff its pungency reminded one of a visit to the temple, As the cloud of fragrance spread, it suggested the pure and beautiful presence of God among the fellowship of believers. Its name means whiteness and typifies purity. Only priests could make an incense offering, and only to God. But in Jesus, of course, all men and women would become priests. All people would be necessary. All people could step boldly into the Lord's presence, and no temple would be necessary. If gold was a gift that said kingship, frankincense said godliness. Joseph and Mary may have trembled at this new sensation, the aroma of the temple in their own humble home. But it helped them remember that the presence of Jesus there should cause them to wonder even more. Frankincense to offer have I, and since owns a deity nigh, prayer and praising all men raising, worship him, God on high. Then came the third and final gift. As it was opened, Mary may have felt a little more foreboding shudder. Some of the luxurious aroma of frankincense was now covered by the smell of myrrh. It too had a familiar association. Myrrh was an anointing oil used for embalming the dead. It would be the final smell associated with a lost loved one. It was the scent of bereavement. The Magi brought it because it too was a precious oil for anointing and a gift valued in any land. David had been anointed with it by Samuel, but its aroma was slightly bitter, and for the common Judean it was the very smell of death. The day would come when Jesus would be offered this gift again, but on this later occasion he would refuse it. They brought Jesus to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. They offered him wine drugged with myrrh, but he refused it. Then the soldier nailed him to the cross. Myrrh is mine, its bitter perfume, breathes a life of gathering gloom, sorrowing, sighing, bleeding, dying, sealed in the stone-cold tomb. After the gifts were given, we are told, the Magi went home by another way for the purpose of safety. The child would go home by another way too, but he would choose the most terrible of routes. He made a gift of himself to all of us, then returned home to his Father. That gift was far more precious than gold or any other substance. As our King, our God, and our sacrificial lamb, he gave us all he had.